Hello dear student, welcome to Biotech Easy, a platform where we discuss molecular techniques, and today we will be discussing gel electrophoresis. It is a technique which is used to separate charged biomolecules, DNA, RNA, proteins according to their molecular mass and shape under the influence of electric field. Suppose you are having a sample in a vial which contains DNA fragments of some base pair length. You don't know that what base pair length it is. What you will do, you will load the sample into a well of a gel, will apply electric field and will wait for the fragments to get separated. Okay, the fragments have got separated, but how you will get to know which fragment correspond to which base pair length? You have to run a ladder also. Suppose you have used 100 base pair ladder. 100 base pair ladder if you have used, then the band which comes farthest will be of 100 base pair, followed by 200 base pair, then 300, then 400. So if you count, the last band which is far away from the well correspond to 100 base pair, and just above it will be 200 base pair. So our 150 base pair band will come in between 100 base pair and 200 base pair. Similarly, if you want to know that where your 400 base pair fragment will lie, it will lie just adjacent to the fourth band of the ladder from the bottom, which correspond to 400 base pair length. So ladder is what? Ladder is a mixture of DNA fragments of certain length. Like in 100 base pair ladder, each fragment which will correspond to 100 base pair, then the next fragment 200 base pair, then 300 base pair. But what will happen? How you will get to know if some molecules are having same molecular weight but they differ at the level of their structure or supercoiling? Like here, we are having a supercoiled DNA, a linear DNA, and a closed circular plasmid with a neck. How this will migrate in this gel? This all depends on its supercoiling. Supercoiled DNA is much smaller and takes less volume, so it can easily travel through the gel pores. But the linear DNA, since it is relaxed and open, it will lag behind the supercoiled DNA. Supercoiled DNA will migrate faster, followed by the linear DNA, and which is followed by the closed circular plasmid with a neck. Why this closed circular plasmid with a neck is moving slowly than the linear DNA? The reason is that the closed circular plasmid is in a relaxed form and is circular in form, so it will lag behind. Its motion will get restricted because of its circular shape, as it has to reorient into the electric field. The linear DNA, it is relaxed, so it can easily migrate through the pores. So the mobility of the supercoiled linear and circular plasmid will be: the supercoiled DNA will migrate fastest, followed by linear, followed by closed circular plasmid with a neck. Let us discuss some real life examples. If you are sick, your sample is collected, which is sent to a laboratory, and you get the report. It sounds easy, as if it happens in a minute, but it is not so. In the laboratory, people have to extract DNA, RNA, protein based on the diagnosis they have to make. And of course, in the isolation procedure, the volume get reduced, so it needs to get amplified. So we amplify DNA and RNA with polymerase chain reaction, and after this polymerase chain reaction, after this amplification, the result has to be seen on agarose gel whether the desired product is present or not. This is how the gel run of PCR products looks like. Here you can see this L100 represent that we have used a ladder of 100 base pair. So the last fragment, the farthest DNA fragment in L100 lane will correspond to 100 base pair, followed by 200, 300, 400, 500, and then reference band at 600. So if we compare PCR product band in Siemens lane, you can see that 700 base pair band, it comes just above this 600 base pair band. And similarly, we can put base pair length along our PCR products and can check whether the PCR product is amplified or not. So this is how gel electrophoresis of PCR products looks like. Second thing where it finds application is in the identification purpose. 16S ribosomal gene is amplified for the identification of fungus and bacteria. So a particular gene fragment we amplify, and then before proceeding for sequencing, which is a much um, expensive technique, we have to use gel electrophoresis as a quality control step to see whether the desired product of desired length has amplified or not. When it comes to protein, we can even quantify proteins, and we can even check whether the protein that we have isolated is a monomeric protein or a multimeric protein. Means whether the protein is made up of single subunit or whether it is a constituent of more than one subunit. Here you can see the blue disc, it corresponds to a monomeric protein, and then there is another protein which has three subunits in it joined by some bonds. So if we run a native page means we are not using any denaturing agent like beta mercaptoethanol, we are not using. So the bonds will not get break and we will be getting only two bands. So the farthest band will correspond to the protein which has less molecular weight, and the band which is near to the well, it will correspond to this multimeric protein which consists of three peptides, polypeptides. So this will correspond to this protein as it will be having more molecular weight. But if I am using denaturing page where I am using beta mercaptoethanol or urea, then I will be getting three bands corresponding to the three types of proteins. The farthest band corresponding to the blue protein, the middle band corresponding to the red proteins, and the band which is much closer to the well will corresponding to the yellow protein which is having the highest molecular weight. So in this way we can infer that whether the isolated protein is a multimeric protein or a monomeric protein. The principle of all gel electrophoresis is that under the applied electric field, under the applied voltage, the charged molecule, they experience a force, and this force is a product of the charge that the molecule is carrying and the voltage that we are applying. So this force makes the molecule to move out of the well and migrate. DNA is intrinsically charged. We all know it is made up of nucleotides, and two nucleotides are joined by phosphodiester bond. So this phosphate gives it a charge. We don't need to charge DNA sample, but for proteins we have to use sodium dodecyl sulfate to make it uniformly charged. So DNA gets separated according to its molecular weight or according to its fragment size, and its velocity, its rate of migration depends on the force that it is experiencing divided by its frictional coefficient. And now this frictional coefficient, it depends on the molecular weight and the configuration, whether it is in relaxed form or supercoiled form. If it is in relaxed form, then it will migrate slowly, the frictional coefficient will be higher, and if it is in supercoiled form, compact form, then it will migrate faster. So the rate of migration, it is directly proportional to the applied electric charge, applied voltage, and the friction, and inversely proportional to the frictional coefficient. That is why the supercoiled DNA was migrating faster, as I've taught you in the previous slide. So this is the basic principle of all gel electrophoresis. Basically we use two types of gel electrophoresis, agarose gel electrophoresis and polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis. There are some differences that each student need to know. Agarose gel electrophoresis is a continuous gel electrophoresis, whereas PAGE is a discontinuous gel electrophoresis. What is the difference? The difference lies in the buffer composition that we use. In continuous gel electrophoresis, the buffer that we use for the formation of gel and the tank buffer, both are same concentration, same pH. But in polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis, the tank buffer and the buffer that we are using for preparation of gel, they differ in concentration as well as in pH. In agarose gel electrophoresis, we use agarose powder for making the gel, and in pH we have to use acrylamide and bisacrylamide. Acrylamide, it forms chains, and bisacrylamide comes in between and form crosslinks. This is how a pH gel is formed. In agarose gel, a single gel is used, but in polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis, we have to make two gels: a resolving gel where protein gets separated according to its molecular weight, and above it we have to make a stacking gel where protein sample gets stacked. So both differ in concentration. Stacking gel concentration is 5%, resolving gel concentration is 8 to 15% according to the designed experiment, and pH of stacking gel is 6.8 and resolving gel is 8.8. So here you can see the difference in pH as well as concentration. Agrogel electrophoresis finds its application for the separation of DNA fragments, as you have seen in the agrogel electrophoresis of PCR products and RNA. Polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis is used for the separation of proteins, DNA less than 500 base pair, and RNA. Later it can be classified as native and denaturing gel electrophoresis based on whether we have used beta mercaptan ethanol or urea or not. Now, gel formation for agarose gel highly depends on the quality of agarose, its concentration, whether we are using low melting agarose or high melting agarose. So all depends on this. But for polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis, the gel formation happens by free radical mechanism. So all the things in detail I will be discussing in my further videos. So I will make videos on agrogel electrophoresis and polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis, and will discuss each and every aspect of it, starting from agarose to ETBR to the possible mistakes that a student can make. Thank you, and be a learner and explorer. Interact socially, study more, and learn more. Thank you.